There's a lot happening on the tainted blood story, the infected blood inquiry. I mean, God, where do we even start this? France had an inquiry in the 90s. They locked a guy up who was responsible for their blood banks. We're 35 years beyond that. So a lot of people responsible are dead. A lot of the victims are dead. Kenneth Clarke is in the House of Lords. He may yet be ejected. They have now talked about compensation numbers. Let's see the Minister, John Glenn.
If you have been directly or indirectly infected by NHS blood products, or tissue contaminated with HIV or hepatitis C, or have developed a chronic infection from blood contaminated with hepatitis B, you will be eligible to claim compensation under the scheme. And where an infected person has died, but would have been eligible under these criteria, compensation will be paid to their estate. Their affected loved ones will be able to apply for compensation in their own right.
We've written down the numbers that we have got at this point. We don't know, this number seems reliable. We don't know about the others, but at the moment, this is where we think we are. Interim payment to those most affected, £210,000. That does not take anything away from the money that then comes to them. Person infected with hepatitis C, 1.1 million. Person infected with HIV, the virus that leads to AIDS, between 2.2 and 2.7 million. Family members, a spouse who lost husband or wife, 110,000. Child who lost a parent, 55,000. Sibling, 30,000. Now, we spoke to the sister of someone who died yesterday, Janine, you might remember. 30,000 seems very, very low. And in the end, I'm giving you these numbers, they may change, but I don't even know how you put a number on it, Carol.
No, this has been 40 years in the making, and even as short a time ago as December last year, a motion went through the Commons, and yes, it was to pay them, but it was to slow the payments down. Shameful. Even now, there is reluctance to pay. But now Sunak, thank God, has come out and said this. 3,000 people died. Of those, 380 odd were children, and they died of AIDS in the most appalling, horrific way. The one little boy everyone's talking about, Colin Smith, he was 7 when he contracted the AIDS virus, and he died, and he weighed less than a 14-month-old baby when he died. It's beyond, to watch a child die in that way. No money can ever compensate for that. No money at all. But the good thing about this money is it's going to help those people who couldn't work and who had to sell their homes. It's going to help those people who had to rely on means-tested handouts. But the most important thing, I think, now as well as the money is that this is right. This is out there now that a huge wrong that could have been righted has been perpetrated. And it's as important, this money and this ruling from this committee, to say that it's a warning that this must not happen again. This can never happen again. Don, I say that knowing that things are happening now as we speak in the NHS. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is it may not be too little, but it's certainly too late, Don. But what do you think?
I mean, just the idea that you can differentiate or sort of try and put a price on different tragedies just seems a really, really odd thing. Even the fact that they're going to pay these out within 90 days. I mean, you're like, why not just pay them straight away? It seems just another delay. Just seems absolutely appalling. The whole thing around cover-ups and the sort of chasing down of whistleblowers in the NHS just leaves me very strange as well. I did this book on conspiracies, and I think one of the problems with that is that it kind of makes people think, yes, there are conspiracies going on, when they're actually chasing the wrong arguments.
There definitely are conspiracies. There was a story last week, and I think it was The Telegraph did, saying that doctors, even now, even after all the big NHS crises, doctors, whistleblowers, and I hate that name because it makes them sound like snitches. They're not. They're trying to save people's lives. Even now, whistleblowers are being hounded out of their jobs by healthcare managers. Even now, even with all this happening. So we have to, and remember, there was a report last year saying that even after the mid-staffs thing, where 1,200 people needlessly died, there have been things ever since. Something like 11,000 people every year in the NHS die needlessly. That's because of cock-ups, and those cock-ups they're covered up by NHS managers and doctors and whoever.
Well,
That's got to
maybe
stop.
we worship the NHS too much.
We do.
We've got it. What other thing? In the Lucy Letby trial, people were
exactly those doctors.
yes, exactly.
Bullied, hounded.
Yeah.
And, you know, she had killed 7 babies at that point.
Yeah.
And we don't know how many more. The wonder is how many more.
What got one story for you, which is of a sort of heroic element to all this, which is a woman called me yesterday, and she'd given birth in 1988. She lost a lot of blood. They were going to transfuse her, and the gynecologist said, "I don't want you putting any blood into her body because I don't like those blood products." And there was a big argument, and he had his way. She had to spend longer in hospital because she had to replenish her own blood herself. But he probably saved her life.
But
you know, isn't that amazing?
But there was just as many doctors like him who did the opposite, who knew knew about the fears around the thing.
Yeah.
Even it was in '73, David Owen, the then health minister, he was then determined that we should only use UK blood products because, of course, these came from America. And he was very quietly moved from health to the Foreign Office before he made that happen. So they knew then.
The Times, there's a story.